About what's going on in the city.
For our first speaker, I'm going to introduce Emil McDonald, who is a Teamster.
I'm a package car driver out of Richmond, California. Thank you so much for all being here. As many of you know, on July 5th, negotiations between the Teamsters and UPS broke down. UPS told us that they have nothing more to give. Now, we know that's a lie. The company spent $5 billion on dividends to Wall Street. They spent $3.5 billion on stock buybacks so that executives and major shareholders could fatten their wallets. We know they have a lot to give, and we're going to get it. We made it perfectly clear that if UPS can't come back to the table and give a living wage to our essential workers and reward us for the tens of billions of dollars in profits that we made them during the pandemic, that they will be putting their company on strike. And it's really so great to see you all out here and all the things that that you've been doing over the last few weeks in supporting us. People are noticing it. It's the kind of thing that, you know, I have drivers come up to me seeing these signs and ask me about them. And some of them have put them up in their trucks. We've had community supporters coming out to our practice pickets, and I think that it's really sending the message that we're not alone and what a big deal this fight is. And it's a kind of change that's going to have ramifications in our union for years to come. Not just because our union leadership is willing to build a credible strike threat and fight for our lowest paid members, but also because it's the experience that rank and file Teamsters are having being put into motion, united with the community to win the things that we deserve. For the last few weeks all over the country, UPS Teamsters have been holding practice pickets outside of our hubs, joined by DSA, PSL, Jobs with Justice, our friends and families, even some of our customers have come out. Your efforts are not going unnoticed, like I said. It's one thing to feel cheated as an individual in the workplace. We've all felt it. It sucks. It's another thing to stand together with your coworkers and to stand together with the backing of the community and fight for something. The experience of banding together for something that's right changes you. It cuts through all the noise and the cultural divides that keep us isolated and powerless, and it really can be very empowering. For last week, a couple of Teamsters in my locals, who as far as I know had never been out to a picket line before, came out to San Francisco to join the academic workers at the UC Regents meeting. That's the kind of change I'm talking about. Seeing yourself as part of a broader workers' movement. United, we bargain. Divided, we beg, you know? So whatever happens between now and when we have a contract, the contract campaign over the last year has created hundreds, if not thousands, of new shop floor leaders in our union and given us an experience organizing against the boss. This is something we will continue to build on in the coming years. Militant stewards will be born out of this fight. Solidarity will be born out of this fight. 5 years from now, when it's time to negotiate the 2028 contract, we will be many times stronger and many times wiser. And guess what? It turns out UPS might have a little bit more to give. They went to their couch cushions, they went to Coinstar, they called us, they want to go back to the table. But Sean O'Brien and our NorCal negotiating committee are not going to be alone when they go back to the table in D.C. They're going to have tens of thousands of Teamsters that participated in these practice pickets over the last couple of weeks, 80,000 signatures from the community demanding a higher part-time starting wage. They're going to be stronger, and we're going to be fighting. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win.
Yes, so the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, we've been, fighting against the expansion of those, Waymo cars. We're not against the use of Waymo cars entirely. We just believe that, there should be human operators in them. I mean, just living in San Francisco, all over you've seen them, crashing into, other vehicles, almost running over pets, right? They've become a nuisance, right? And so we just want reasonable regulations around those cars, and also to protect good-paying union jobs and prevent these greedy Silicon Valley corporations from coming in and automating, all of our jobs away, right?
Well, that's Uber and Lyft, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also Waymo and these other automated car companies. But, Uber and Lyft have been talking about, going into automated cars and getting rid of their drivers for a long time. They haven't been able to do it, right? All that talk about, replacing workers with robots, replacing workers with robots. Look what happened after the pandemic, right? When the boss class, right, was, completely, out of their mind with, the labor shortage, right? It wasn't a labor shortage. It was a good wage shortage, right? It was a good paying job shortage. The working class had finally said enough is enough, and they weren't willing to take, the terrible conditions that had existed and had been progressively getting worse since at least the 1980s and prior.
And why is the California Public Utilities Commission, which is appointed by Gavin Newsom, allowing these remote control cars on the streets right now?
I don't know the answer to that question. They shouldn't be.
You think Gavin Newsom represents workers?
Probably not. I mean, again, is he better than like Ron DeSantis or some Republican governor? Sure.
The union, the Teamsters have opposed these cars, the remote control cars. You think that this new technology, AI, should be introduced into the workplace without studying its effect on working people?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, we know exactly why they're doing this. Trying to socially engineer labor out of the equation, right? So they can have total and complete control, right, over the way that they generate profit, right?
And you think if they're successful, a lot of people will lose their jobs?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, what other logical conclusion would there be?
And it's an issue of the writers' strike and SAG-AFTRA, the other unions. Do you think there should be a united fight of all unions around the issue of introduction of AI?
It has to be a united fight of all unions, right? It's eventually going to affect everybody, right? AI is here to stay, right? But if the working class doesn't organize to push back against its expansion into taking away our good-paying jobs, then we're doomed. But again, if we have to organize, we have to try and fight it, right? And I believe if we do, we will have a good shot at preventing it from expanding as quickly as they want it to.
My name is Patrick Blanco. I'm currently a member of Teamsters Local 70, former member of Teamsters Local 278, and I've been a member of other different local unions. I don't need to disclose them because it's a long list. I was a former employee of UPS. I worked during 1998 and 1999 as a Christmas feeder driver. Then I got hired as a regular package driver, and I was a regular package driver from 2000 to 2004. And the same issues today existed back then. It's about the part-timers. There are some other issues that did that have evolved that brought us into 2023. For example, the 22-4 hybrid driver. They're supposed to do some inside work and then go driving, but what it turned out to be that they're doing the same job as a regular package driver. A regular package driver at 100% makes $41.50 an hour. The hybrid driver, if and when they do get to 100%, would make about $5 to $8 less per hour. Today's progression is 4 years progression to get to 100%. In my day, when I worked at UPS, it was a 2-year progression. Then you have part-timers. Today they still make $15 to $20 per hour.
Well, one of the demands is for a $25 minimum. Amazon workers make sometimes a lot of money. I mean, how are you going to compete with the Amazon unless you get a big increase?
Well, I do know that. Did you say that the Amazon part-timers make $25 an hour?
I'm saying some of them make good money. I don't know exactly, but I mean, you're competing with Amazon, which is non-union, and they want to keep the union out.
Well, I do know that the Amazon drivers. I can speak about the Amazon drivers. I do know that they only make between $19 to $21 an hour. And they're doing the same work as a hybrid driver for UPS or a regular package driver. And they get substandard benefits, and they get very little pension or retirement. And they're also working for a third-party contractor, which limits their rights to unionize.
And this whole union-busting effort of Amazon, it seems like they want to fire Teamsters, like in Palmdale, who work for a subcontractor because they're Teamster members. I mean, you think that should be a national issue?
Well, yes, it is a national. I believe it is a national issue. The Teamsters are making it a national issue because these third-party contractors, they're actually controlled. Their work environment. Those Amazon workers who are working for this third-party contractor, their work environment is actually controlled by Amazon. And so this I'm not a labor attorney, but this could turn out to be a test case at the National Labor Relations Board.
And AB 5 was supposed to prevent that, wasn't it?
AB 5 was supposed to address that, at least in California. That's in California. And so far, I haven't seen any of the fruits of that legislation in California.
And are all the Teamster locals united around the UPS strike? How is it different from 1997, the strike there?
Well, back in 1997, you had Ron Carey, and so there was still kind of a division within the internal affairs of the union, because you just had the election that the first ever rank and file election for national officers, and so you had some internal pushback with Ron Carey. So there was that internal rift that did exist at that time.
So what's going to happen? You think you're going to get a contract, and also, you think there's going to be a strike?
Well, they do go back to the table on the 24th. And I believe it's because of this activity around the country that has involved practice picketing. And in my 40 years as a Teamster, there has been rallies that have existed around contract campaigns, and people like Jesse Jackson would show up to lend his support, and local and national politicians that would show their support. But this is the first time I actually seen this type of practice picketing, like as if you're going on strike. But it's really you have to make it very clear that it's not a strike, but you're practicing. And I've seen a lot of energy around this, and I believe this has shown UPS that the rank and file has the support of the leadership that's in place now. Sean O'Brien, Fred Zuckerman, and the current National Negotiating Committee for the Teamsters team.
And you're a member of TDU. What's TDU's position on this?
TDU has lent us total support to Sean O'Brien and the Fred Zuckerman team.
Supervisor, District 5 Supervisor, and also chapter member Dean Preston.
I mean, it's a beautiful Saturday, and you are here ready to get the word out and build solidarity with UPS Teamsters. So thank you all. Give yourselves a huge hand for being here. Thank you. I'm Dean Preston, District 5 Supervisor, as was mentioned, proud member of DSA San Francisco. I want to say I'm thrilled to see so many DSA members, East Bay and San Francisco here today. Thank you all for being here, making us all proud. So, look, I think we all recognize right now the time that we're in and the unprecedented corporate power that we all face in this country, the unprecedented level of union busting and corporate consolidation and money concentrated at the top in this nation, right? but they're things that big money and big capital don't control, right? And one of those things is a worker's body, mind, and labor, right? And so what we are about to see on August 1st, barring UPS getting some sense here at the negotiating table, is we are about to see the biggest strike in this country in the last half century. We are about to see 350,000 UPS Teamsters go on strike with solidarity from hundreds of thousands of other Teamsters and millions of workers across this country. We are also in a time of unprecedented corporate propaganda through corporate media and through corporations' direct spending and lobbying on propaganda every day to bash unions in this country. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. All that spending, and it's not new, right? They've been spending year after year after year unprecedented amounts to turn people in this country against unions. And then they did a poll last year. And I don't think that all that spending got them that much. Because they polled everyone, and I'm talking everyone, from furthest left to furthest right in this country. Over 70% of people in this country, over 70% support unions. Right? So they can keep spending whatever they want on bashing unions, and it seems like unions are just growing in popularity in this country. So here we are. We're going to be going out, getting folks to post these amazing signs. Thank you. Who did these signs, Richard? Annika? Annika B. These are amazing. These awesome signs that have spread across the country from here in the Bay Area. Because I think the message that we want to send, and Zach talked about this, right? Is we, whether we're talking politicians, pundits, like we are not here to micromanage how the Teamsters assert their rights, right? We are here to say to UPS Teamsters that we are in solidarity with you, that solidarity is unconditional and will continue. And if you are on strike, we will be there on the picket line with you. If we are for customers of UPS, you should be joining this effort. And whether you're a business customer, a private customer, you should be out there with UPS Teamsters and the entire labor community in this fight. And that's the message of what we're doing out here, is to show that our support is unconditional and that we appreciate all the incredible work through a pandemic that these folks have done, and they should not be forced to work without the fair wage that they deserve and are demanding. One last thing before I turn this mic over, because I think it should be noted. It is incredible to see not just a union organizing and pushing to the point of a national strike to demand a living wage and fair treatment of their workers, but also, as Zach noted, to see this union prioritizing its lowest paid members at the center of these demands. I want to recognize that, thank the Teamsters for doing that, for elevating the plight of the part-time workers who are underpaid, and note that we are seeing increasingly unions doing exactly that. And I want to recognize our teachers and the United Educators of San Francisco who did the same thing, in their fight, where that their top demand was about para-educators and the lowest paid members of their union. So thank you for centering within your own struggle, in your own union, those who are most marginalized, most oppressed, and most underpaid. I am proud to be here with you. It is an honor to be here with you. And thank you all for your time today, for getting out the word, and for showing such strong solidarity with UPS Teamsters.